Right, Nick and Chris, thanks for joining us. So where in the world are you? Where's your church?
We are in Ashford in Kent, which is very sunny and lovely at the moment.
Beautiful.
It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
Kent's one of my favourite counties. It's beautiful. And you've got the Euro Star near you.
And the Euro Tunnel, they are just 10 minutes down the road. Not very much used to us at the moment, but yes.
No, not in a minute. And how long you been in, you planted Ashford Vineyard Church. How long you been there? How many years now?
It is.
We moved here 10 years ago in May, and we launched 10 years ago this September.
Yeah.
Whoa, birthday!
Gosh.
Yeah, coming up to the Big 10.
Brilliant.
It's great.
Well, thanks for meeting here with us. And going to ask you the 3 questions I've been asking the other pastors I've been talking to.
Cool.
So first one is, because we were all so highly qualified for this experience, someone's going to be doing a training module by next year, aren't they, on how to lead a church in a pandemic?
Well, not us.
Yeah, someone will come up.
Bye then.
Anyway, so I remember that feeling of, when you realise what's going on, you're like, okay, absolutely.
No idea.
No idea. Right. Google.
Look at the manual.
How to lead a church in a pandemic, 0 results come up. So, anyway, so what's helped you on ramp into this? Get oriented.
So I think the thing that we found difficult early on was obviously when everything was changing. It felt like we were all nervous every time Boris stepped up to the lectern because it was going to be something that needed to change. Yeah. But I think that certainly we anchored ourselves in our aims, in our vision. Do you mind just popping that down? Mm-hmm. So we have a very clear set of aims that we have here, like this.
Yes.
Those 6 aims that sit under the mandate for us, the mission of bringing life to Ashford, and then we have these 6. So what we then did was we rearranged everything we did to say, how can we still go after these 6 aims?
Great.
And what does that look like? And then essentially that made a plan for us.
Fantastic.
And we called it our COVID-19 plan. That got agreed by all our leaders. It went out on our website. It got shared with our local council, etc. So what is Ashford Vineyard doing? This is what we are doing. And that plan gets reviewed each week. And it's just really helped to keep, if you like, the cluster leaders, the main leaders, the kind of next tier of leaders, our wider community. It's helped to keep people focused on exactly what it is we're doing. And I would say that has saved us wasting lots of time, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think one of the things that helped with that is, there was hundreds of things going on.
Yeah.
All other churches, you go online and you're like, oh, they're doing that, we should do that.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. We should do that. Oh no, and then by the time you come off, the whole comparison is the thief of joy quote. Like, oh my word, you suddenly think, I think we're doing okay. And then you log online and you see all of these churches doing these things. So I think having our 6 things and just keep it really plain and saying, well, they may be doing that, but that doesn't fit with the thing that we were going after before this happened. So why don't we stick to the thing we were doing before and just keep doing that? Brilliant. And that was really helpful.
We've said something similar to our guys. We've said our facilities, our premises might be quiet, but our mission remains the same.
Absolutely.
And, and it's interesting, people repeat that back. They go, yeah, our mission's the same. And I'm sure you found this. You always hope that your church is more than a Sunday service. You tell people that. Yeah. But you really find out it actually is.
Yeah.
With all that stuff's there. Oh, that's awesome. Brilliant.
Yeah.
I think the other thing we've done is we have looked for where the grace is and effectively said, God, what are you doing? So it's all right for us to essentially reshape what we're doing around what's needed, but also, God, what are you putting the magnifying glass on, really? And so for us, it was our food bank. Our food bank opens only a few days a week, and then within a couple of weeks we found at the time we were the only food bank left open in the whole of Ashford.
Wow.
And so we saw there was such a grace for that. Food was coming in left, right and centre from all kinds of people, and we kept seeing story after story of where we were short on food. And then we started getting things like Waitrose and Marks and Spencer's.
I guess any old food.
This isn't any food bank. This is an M&S food bank.
Yeah, seriously, we were giving away chicory and tofu. We were, it was highbrow food bank.
Earl Grey and orange hot cross buns.
Pestle
All kinds of
Emmental,
things.
yeah.
Mhm.
Awesome.
But yeah, I think that was definitely a shift in focus, because we used to give away like 7 to 10 food packages a week. But we were not big on, we've only been doing this for the last 6 months. And so suddenly to then be the only fully functioning food bank left and doing, 100 in a week was a big transition. But rather than it feeling hard and difficult, it felt so exciting because the grace was on it, the food was coming in, and it was a lot of fun. So that was great.
Awesome. So second question then, guys, what's helping you get oriented to the future and what's coming next? Chris
has watched a lot of tutorials about live streaming.
I really have.
And I have not.
So he's your research assistant, yeah?
Yeah. I'm like, you're doing such a good job on that. She's like, should I tell you about it? I'm like, no, not really. Yes, tell us what you've been watching.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of things. The streaming is one that has slightly caught us out. We'd considered streaming before and hadn't. And I think one of the reasons we hadn't is just a lack of confidence to say, is what we're doing worth streaming, to be entirely honest. Like, let's just concentrate, let's get our heads down and concentrate on what's in the building. And then suddenly you find that if you want to stay connected with anyone, you have to start streaming. And it honestly has been a phone, a very little mini Rode mic plugged into it, and a tripod. And we've literally done a Facebook Live from a phone.
Yeah.
And so it's quite an exciting adventure, because we didn't have the box that you need, the encoder that you need to turn essentially an HDMI to be able to plug it into a computer and get it out on the internet. So
unfortunately, I now know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, I still don't. We all.
Google Black Magic presenter box out of stock for the next 6 months because every other.
That's exactly right. They are like trying to get a hold of webcams. They've like disappeared.
Yeah.
The great thing was, one kept not coming in. So for about 5 Sundays, something like that, we've just used a phone. And we said to God, okay, is this something that your grace seems to really be on? Because we're recognizing that when we come out of this, it's not going to suddenly be one day the government clicks their fingers and everything back to normal. There won't be a normal. There will be a new normal that comes out of this. And many of us are going to find that we have people who consider themselves part of the churches that maybe never come. They maybe live in another county, maybe even another country. So we said to God, okay, so is this something we need to think? Well, listen, Lord, if this is of you, we are going to need at least 5 or 6 grand to be able to get this up and running properly and start doing this as best we can. Yeah. Within 2 days, we got notification from our bookkeeper to say that we had 10 grand deposited in the main church account. Oh. And we chased up, did we know anything about it? And we looked at the name and said, we don't know anything about it. And it was actually from another church. Oh, and so we contacted that other church and said, did you know, is this a mistake? What? And they said, wow, no, this is our money back from us. We felt God say, you need this money. And so we wanted to give it to you.
Isn't that awesome?
So that's amazing.
That's exciting.
That's so exciting.
Far more about, I love photography anyway, but I now know far more than I ever needed to.
Yeah.
I keep joking. We can now all put on our CVs significant experience of hybrid ministry opportunities, ministry environments.
Yeah, absolutely.
Interior design,
staging.
And I've literally, just before we started this call, I came off the phone to one of our key leaders who we've just said, would you be happy to take on the responsibility of effectively pioneering vision for our stream team? And what exactly does that look like? How can we make people on the other end of a camera feel as much a part of what's going on in the room as the people in the room? That's our mantra, and that's what we're going after.
Awesome.
We're excited about the fact that that's connecting with, so at Ashford Vineyard we have a wide community who would consider themselves to be a part of Ashford Vineyard, but many of those don't ever come on a Sunday or don't even really do God, but they would still say, I'm a part of Ashford Vineyard, because they link into lots of things we do. Wow. But what's really fascinating is when we do the Facebook Live broadcast on a Sunday, we're seeing all of these curious people just poke their head in. And actually they're people who wouldn't get up on a Sunday morning and decide to come, but because they're sat on their phones anyway, they're joining in, they're making comments, and you know, people are having words of knowledge that are being shared on the commenting, and this is stuff, you know, we don't want it to go back to normal. You know, whatever normal is, we definitely don't want it to go back to what it was. We want to keep creating space for those people to be able to be curious.
Yeah, we're finding the same, aren't we?
Awesome. Yeah, we are. You're like, I mean, I literally, on the day this all kicked off, I've got an email system for diary notes, and I'd put in it, talk to AVT Ops manager to start planning to live stream, and it literally popped in my inbox on the day this all kicked off.
Wow.
I was like, right, guess we're definitely doing this now.
That's brilliant.
I put it there like 6 months ago, like, we need to do this at some point. I was like, all right. Oh gosh, yeah, but to stay, we're getting loads of people visit and reconnect, and
that's great.
People that left our church years ago around the world, you know, struggling because their church hasn't been able to do something, and so they've been popping along and getting prayer afterwards. And it was, we joked with one couple, Russell and Janelle, they're in Australia. They said, right, well, in Zoom on this Sunday we do live ministry at the end and pray for people. I said, I'm going to put you on the ministry team. You can come and help us pray.
That's brilliant.
They said they would. That was just awesome, isn't it? So lastly then, leaning into the personal, and you may have already touched on it, but what's been like one of the biggest challenges for you personally, but what's been one of the biggest encouragements? What are you saying thank you to the Lord for?
Biggest challenge for me, without a doubt, is not being able to be in the room with people.
Yeah.
I've always known the figures that 8% of our communication is our words, 37% is the way we speak, and the rest of it, the other 55% or whatever it is our body language. And my word is Zoom and platforms like this, while we're so grateful for them, they are way harder work. And I miss being in the room and being able to see the glances, to see what's going on, to see people's eyes and read them properly. That's made it much harder work. And frankly, even me as a little bit of an introvert, I'm actually just missing people. I really am. Nix, she's pining.
I'm going to be so socially inappropriate when this is all over.
I know. So are we.
I'm like, come on, let me out. Let me get to actual people.
I know. We'll be hugging people on the train.
We said, whatever our first sort of, whatever it is that can get anyone together, we're just gonna have like a hugathon or something. Cry and maybe pray at the end. That'll be it.
Yeah, the end.
Maybe worship together.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But you've been finding homeschool. That's been a challenge, isn't it?
Having, it's probably the greatest blessing and the greatest challenge is having our children at home full time, and they are not of an age where they can just go off and entertain themselves. And they are also, we've discovered their learning styles are the polar opposite of each other. And so homeschool has been interesting.
Two schools.
But the blessing is I've never spent so much time with them. You know, normally they're in school for all of these hours and we're around them. So, you know, there's been some brilliant moments. I think part of the challenge for me early on was a bit of an identity crisis of who am I? Like, give me a church to lead, but a full-time parent homeschooler, I'm like, oh, like suddenly the skill set and the skill mix and the patience required for that is very different from leading a church. And just being out of the room with Chris, I think we work together loads, and we've had to divide to conquer. So I've taken a big step back from a lot of Ashford Vineyard stuff, and stepped into family life, which has meant Chris has had to step into a lot of Ashford Vineyard stuff, but without me in the room. So that's been a challenge, but it has meant that we've had loads of time as a family, which has been amazing and brilliant. But sometimes that challenge and blessing can work within minutes. So, I think that's the person.
And I think marriage-wise, I think we'd have just loved a bit more space and time, wouldn't we? That's a challenge.
Once a week we have a walk on our own. So that is lovely. For those of you watching who think we've got 3-year-old children, we're leaving them at home, that isn't true. We have an intern living with us at the moment. So our intern is living with us. She looks
glad you clarified that.
Just to clarify, no one needs to ring social services. they aren't left alone. But yeah, so she mans the fort for one exercise time a week, and we go and have a long walk together, and that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm also glad
we bank up. You're allowed an hour, aren't you, each day? Yeah. So we bank up any time we don't use.
Yes.
And basically, on a Thursday, we start walking at 9 a.m.
Well, I also like because when you said you walk on your own, you made it sound like you go one direction and you go the other one.
Oh no, together.
No, together.
From the children.
Walk together.
We walk apart.
Not go on your own. 2 meters apart from each other.
We walk apart, don't we?
Yeah. Bev goes behind.
I need me time. He needs me time. So off we go.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you, guys. That was incredible. Really helpful. So thank you, and see you online.
Yes.
See you
soon.